Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps.
Before we get started, guys, continuing our discussion on El Camino. If you tuned in last week, thank you for joining us again. I want to shout out our sponsor for this week. Let's see. I want to shout out the people that made this background and this atmosphere possible. This episode is brought to you by HDP Construction, your local experts in home remodel and interior design. Based in Bedford, Texas, and proudly serving the DFW Metroplex. They're a family-owned and operated company committed to transforming your space. Whether it's a kitchen renovation makeover, bathroom upgrade, or a commercial remodel, they've got you covered. Give them a call today at 817-829-7997 to get started, or visit at constructionhdp.com to see their previous work and learn more about their services. HDP Construction, family-owned since 2008, building your vision with their expertise. Thank you again, HDP Construction. Check them out if you need anything renovated or something repaired. Very nice company. Okay, back to our discussion for today. Today, we're going to start off, and we're going to hopefully this conversation won't take all day.
Hit the ground running on El Camino.
El Camino. Okay, so we were disagreeing about the Breaking Bad universe.
We should have watched some of the Todd scenes while we were away.
I guess so, but I just... maybe we can pause and do it. Let's do that.
Because I know I'm right about it.
Maybe. You think so?
I am.
All right, let's pause it. Sorry, guys. 3, 2, 1. All right, we rewatched some scenes from El Camino. Okay. I still don't think it broke his character.
Something that stuck out was that I sensed a lot of lack of confidence with Todd in the show.
Sure.
Like, he wasn't very confident. He was competent, not really confident. And, like, he was always, like, kind of with wide eye, just always wanting to impress someone, you know, not really doing anything himself. And, again, always had that kind of creepy, like, demeanor. Like, I generally felt like that, if we're talking about the character, he truly believed that he was being kind, even when he was doing atrocious things. He never actually knew what he was doing or believed what he was doing was evil, even though it was. In the movie, it felt like he was acting kind, if that makes sense.
Maybe. I really don't think it boils down to the director or the writing. I think it kind of boils down to the actor that plays Todd. And I think because it was 10 years, he's had major gigs since then. He's been in shows where he's the star. He's been in movies where he's not the star, but he's like a major character, and he's trying to play a good guy. And I just think his acting performances changed. I wouldn't put that necessarily on the movie. The point of the Todd flashback in El Camino was to show how broken Jesse was. There's a scene where he is about to he steals a gun from the car, and he could shoot Todd and get away. Right. But he's so broken. He's so scared of not just Todd but his family, his uncle Jack. He's so scared that he's not going to do it. He doesn't have anywhere to go. If he does, he could kill Todd and drive off. Where's he going to go? You know what I mean? So the whole point of that was to show how broken Jesse was. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be on Todd's performance. You know what I mean?
Okay, well then pushing forward.
Yeah, let's go from that.
Okay, two more things. Well, first of all, two more things. One, do you think it made more sense for him to see a vision of Jane, or I forget the lady's name, the other girlfriend?
It was like it was Victoria, I think, something, the Hispanic girl, right? His girlfriend.
Her. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting point.
I thought he had a much bigger connection, specifically because of Brock the kid, with his last girlfriend rather than Jane, the one who died a long time ago.
I think it was just a cameo thing because he had a flashback with almost every character, with the exception of that.
Sure.
I think I understand what you're saying though. Like it would make more sense to have a flashback with the person where he thought he was actually starting a family.
I forget how it ends. Does he get Brock at the end?
No.
No. That's another thing. Such a big driving force for that character, and again, even through the show, was his attachment to children. Like his big attachment to children. Like, I don't even think it was mentioned in the movie why he didn't go back for Brock, or why he didn't do anything like that.
He had so much heat on him though. He was as wanted as Walter White.
Yeah, but even it wouldn't have stopped Walter White if there was the same scenario. I don't know. It would. It's because I don't even remember them mentioning it. Like, it was like an idea that went through his head. I think he was just trying to escape.
Like the Jane flashback, I don't even remember it really contributing anything to the movie as a whole, other than they were referencing how each character contributed something they said to Jesse's life, and it affected how he acted in the finale, which is the movie.
Yeah.
So he talked. There's a flashback with Mike, and Mike's teaching him something. There's a flashback to Saul. Saul's teaching him something, and it's something that influences how he acts in the movie because he's remembering everyone pours into him throughout the show, and he's taking all that and he's using it to kind of shape how he handles all these situations. The way Walter took out Jack's men, the way he took out Gus. Yeah. None of those scenes were Walter going into Jack's cabin and himself pulling a gun and hiding and, doing Call of Duty moves. He never took direct action on any of the people he was up against. It was always an indirect, here's a trap I set. Right. And, or in the case where he got Hector to kill Gus, he set the trap and he convinced Hector, hey, this is how you can get revenge, and so everything he did was indirect. So you get to the scene where he does the duel, the duel with the guy. He's like, okay, how about this? You give me what I want. Well, no, I'm not giving it to you. Okay, well then let's duel for it. And so you're thinking he's going to go for the gun, but he remembers because Walter taught him all this. Like, you got to be sneaky to get away. And Jesse, he's not a sharpshooter. You know what I mean? He knows that. So what he does is like, and I was on the edge of my seat for that scene where like, okay, they're going to count to 3, draw and shoot. And he had a gun hiding in his jacket. And he just shoots through the jacket and kills the guy that's going to draw. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, it was such a creative.
So that felt silly to me.
Really?
A shoot, like a duel?
Yeah.
A Western style duel?
Well, he played into those dudes that were sitting there drinking, bragging about how they ripped off a fugitive. Yeah. And so like they were just like, we're so clever, we're so smart. And Jesse played into that, but like, okay, well, if you're so smart, yes, it was dumb, but Jesse was playing into their dumb drunkenness and how cocky they were being,
A lot of what you said just now, like all the stuff you said, makes sense, but you had to explain it. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's what the director was going for.
I agree. And I've actually made that criticism before with movies that are objectively crappy.
Sure.
And the prequels. Anytime somebody explains something in the prequels, well, that's what George Lucas intended. Sure. I'm like, no, that's you making up a reason for George Lucas and saying that was his reason.
Now, this was before the success of Better Call Saul, or?
It was between season 5 and 6. It was pretty successful.
No, it was way before that. Oh, you're talking about Breaking Bad?
No.
No, it was before that.
No way.
The movie?
Absolutely.
Before 4 and...
I'm going to say the furthest back I'll go is season 4.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't season 1 or 2. It was pretty much after, maybe not after 5. It could have been during 5 or the earliest back I'm going to go is 4. Go ahead and look it up.
Yeah. Okay, because came out in 2019.
Yeah, and that's season 4 at the earliest.
Okay.
So let me see. Better Call season. That was season 5, yeah.
Really?
The 5th season of the AMC series premiered on February 23rd, 2020. So, like, I don't know, in between 4 and 5. Like,
okay,
it came out late. Because I remember we're sitting there waiting on the next season of Better Call Saul.
So that's even weirder to me then, because it feels like the quality of the movie, and I know it's just a TV movie, and I get it, the episodes of the show are way more expensive.
It's also a Netflix movie.
I just said that.
You said TV. It not just any TV. It was an AMC movie.
I feel like it's the same thing.
That's okay.
Like Netflix movies actually probably have more quality than TV movies. But yeah.
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about that, but
still,
that's a tangent.
Yeah,
let's not talk.
My point is, like, it's the same team, right? Vince Gilligan and everything.
Yep.
I don't know. It looked great. I would say it actually looked really good, but
for a Netflix movie,
yeah, it felt like it's not necessarily a knock, but like. It felt like this was like a fan-made YouTube movie where they got the same cast to come back and like reprise their roles. Yeah,
I agree. That's what all the flashbacks were.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to bring back Todd because he's overweight,
and
his performance changed. I agree with you on that.
Me and my friend were like, I think we were both really hoping that Walter White wouldn't show up as a cameo or anything.
Why?
Because it's too much of an easy cop out. Like. I feel like
that scene had no substance, though. It was just for fun, and it was like 2 minutes out the whole film.
Exactly, but I'm just like, I feel like if there was actual, like, confidence put towards this film, that they wouldn't need a cameo of Walter White, like, because they're establishing that this universe is bigger than just Walter White. I get it. Walter White's such a big part of Jesse's life, but like, I don't think he's necessarily needed to make this world exist now because it's so big now and like it can go in any direction.
Yes.
I felt like it was cheap. Like, how many people probably watch it just to see Walter White?
But you're holding it in the same vein as bringing back the Joker in Arkham Knight. You're acting like it's the same thing.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's how you're talking about it. You're talking about it like it's the same level of cheapness. Like we have no confidence in Scarecrow. We have no confidence in growing Batman or the Red Hood or all that kind of stuff.
I think it would have made a really important statement. That's what I'm trying to say. They missed out on making like an important statement. They didn't need to have him as a cameo, essentially.
Of course they didn't need it. They didn't need any of the cameos, to be honest with you. But it's a farewell to. It was toward the end of Better Call Saul, which Better Call Saul the last season had cameos galore.
Sure,
they're saying goodbye to everybody because in season 6 Mike's dead, in the flash forwards, but they're having like last minute. The finale of Better Call Saul did the same thing with Mike, with Gus, with Walter. They were saying goodbye. They had flashbacks to points where the finale episode was the biggest part of this, where they brought Chuck back. They brought Mike back for these scenes where they're contributing to the final episode to where it justifies why Saul made the decision he made. And you would say, You told me earlier that I'm adding more than the director or the writers were adding. I'm adding my own stuff to it that they probably weren't thinking. I would have to disagree because there's so many points in Better Call Saul and even Breaking Bad. But I haven't seen that in a while, so I can't think of it. I've seen Better Call Saul relatively recently.
Yeah.
So I can say that the director and the writers and the creators, they've always added stuff that was up for interpretation.
Sure.
Do you remember the scene where Gus is deciding who he wants to build his lab under the little warehouse thing? Do you remember that? Where he brings in the first guy, not Vernon.
Right, yeah.
He brings in the first guy. Can you tell me why he didn't go with that guy?
The French guy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because I could say so.
Why?
It's because he gave him way too good of a deal. Basically, he underestimated everything. It's because he was basically saying, "Oh yeah, I can get this done," and just basically just like a few weeks, like half the time what you're thinking, won't be a problem at all. Won't be a problem at all. Won't be a problem at all. Thank you, goodbye. And then the next guy basically told him all the problems that this is going to pose. Yeah. Then he was like, "Well, I want someone who understands. He's not going to bullcrap me.
Sure.
Who understands, what the actual conditions are going to be."
And that's a very good take on it. But I have a different take. The guy started bragging about the jobs he did. He's like, I did this job in blah, 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 blah. And man, like we got, like you said, he played into like, we got this. I've done way worse jobs, but he went into details about those jobs. Those jobs were supposed to be secret. And if you remember Gus, he doesn't want a guy who talks. And so this guy's just openly bragging about the deals he did. That base had to be a secret, a secret. Like nobody can know about it because the Salamancas caught on, especially Lalo. He had a hard time getting Lalo to stop sniffing around where he was building stuff. Yeah. So when the guy started bragging about it, if you remember in Breaking Bad, I rewatched the scene recently. He didn't want to work with Walter initially because Walter was so careless and reckless, and he was not. He knew he was hungry for power. He didn't trust his judgment, his decision making. He got offended when Walter was like, "Hey, we're the same." He's like, "We are not the same. You are reckless. You're crazy. You don't care who sees you." When he used that box cutter, he killed that guy because he was seen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so the guy started bragging about the jobs he did. He was like, he's too much of a loose cannon. Yeah. So that's the thing with Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould's work is there's no one interpretation because they don't outright tell you. Yeah. There's multiple interpretations you can do. So when I say this is why a scene happened, maybe, but also maybe not. Like you said, maybe not. Yeah. But there is no one interpretation for any of their work. There's so many different things because they don't tell you. They don't tell you why Chuck is allergic to electricity. We have theories, and I've read a few good theories, but they never tell you. They never tell you what incident made him allergic to electricity in his mind. Because they establish that it's in his mind; it's not a real thing. But they don't. There's no scene that tells you when that happens. There's clues, and there's stuff lying around to kind of drum up your own conclusion. But they very purposefully don't ever tell you what anybody's thinking. They purposefully don't spoon feed you anything that tells you this is why this person is acting this way. Yeah. They give you enough information where you can draw conclusions, but as you can tell, not everyone's going to draw the same conclusion. That's one of the beauties of his work is there's no one answer to why a character does something the way they do. You know what I mean?
I guess so. But when you're defending something, also the same rules apply.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I could go. We can go back to the prequels and be like,
Yeah.
well, I could say my conclusion is George Lucas is a bad writer.
Yeah.
And yours is like, no. He planned this out. You know what I mean? And he knew.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I hear everybody says. He knew everyone was going to hate this, so that's why he did it. And I'm like, no,
Well,
he's
can't just prove it.
He's an idiot, right? But that's the beauty of a work that you know. You're right. It is a cop out to say, well, it's open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it is, but I think this is an exception where, again, the creators and the people that make this series in particular, they made these with the intention of there is no one answer. But that's why they're so replayable. That's why you can watch Breaking Bad 80 times and get something different out of it every time, because you'll catch a detail that changes your whole perception on why somebody did something.
Do you feel like you know Jesse Pinkman more by watching that movie, or do you think you knew him just the same amount from watching the finale of Breaking Bad?
I'd say I knew him about the same. But at the same time, Breaking Bad left it open on what happened to Saul after.
I think
what happened
that's
to Jesse.
what I liked. You see, what you were saying earlier is what I like about the show too. I think the movie showed too much of the same, and it didn't really give another conclusion. So why did it actually exist? Because it didn't really conclude anything. It just showed what he did directly after and a little bit of what happened during. But like in the same Breaking Bad format, usually everything has a purpose. Everything actually means everything connects to something, right? The movie, it just led into another open-ended ending. And that's another
open-ended, really?
I mean, like, think about it. It ends with him just kind of like driving off. Like, what is he going to do?
Well, but he was in another country.
So, what is he going to do?
Build the life he wanted.
I thought we already knew that at the end of Breaking Bad.
No, we saw him driving away from the cops at the end.
Yeah.
And we don't know if he got stopped at a blockade. Well, we do now.
It's the same exact thing, though. You could say the same exact thing about the movie, though.
He got away, though. He got to the vacuum cleaner guy that changes your identity for you. And we know he got away from that. And he didn't have as much heat on Walter White. When Walter White went to the vacuum guy, he stuck him in a mountain and said, "Do not leave." You know what I mean?
Sure, but I guess if you watch the ending of the series, you could come to the same conclusions. Oh, does he go to the vacuum guy? Does it go to Brock? Does he go? It basically what it did was it narrowed down the possibilities of his conclusion rather than expanded it.
That's fair. I think that's a fair criticism. I will say, I think you going to see that movie in theaters.
Now that is fair.
I think you expected it to be like, this is the movie.
Theatrical,
This is Breaking Bad, the movie. This is when it was never intended that you got a special screening, but it's a Netflix movie.
Well, so that leads me to my question. What I just asked is like, what was it supposed to be? And from Vince Gilligan, like, what was the movie supposed to be? Because I feel like I don't know Jesse Pinkman anymore.
Sure.
I feel like the conclusion was relatively more the same of what we had in the series, which was also excellent.
Yep.
Like, I loved the way it ended, you know, just the way it was. So in my head, the movie isn't really canon, but that's just my head.
I just don't see why. I understand why you say like the show leaving it up to interpretation is better. But when you look at the three major players in the Breaking Bad universe, there's Walter White, there's Saul, obviously, and Jesse.
Right.
They all three got a different ending based on what they deserved. All of them. Walter did not deserve to live. From the beginning of the show, he was dying.
Sure.
At the end, he died. He made a mess of everything that he had either tried to build, what he was already given, his marriage, his kids. Like he made a mess of everything that he touched. Everything he was given, he made a mess of. The only conclusion was he had to die. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Jesse, over the course of the show, he grew, which I think you would agree with. And he got away. He got to improve over the course of the show.
Yeah.
He actually got away. And now he gets to live the life that as he grew throughout the show, he gets to live the life that he now is a different man. He gets to go on and be the man that he has grown to be over the course of all 6 seasons of the show. Saul not only made a mess of everything, but he was finally paying for the crimes he committed.
Right.
The scams he did, ripping people off, throwing people under the bus, everything, he finally paid the price.
Yeah.
Each three got an ending based on what they sewed into the universe. So I understand your point of, do we know Jesse better? Probably not. It's not as open-ended, but they all got an ending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought it was entertaining to see the Todd scene. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked did all the flashbacks contribute? Probably not. I can agree with you on that. But it was like saying goodbye to a character and saying goodbye to a bunch of other characters. You know, they were just they were just wrapping it up. If they had Walter White, he agreed to do it. Put the scene in there. It wasn't an Arkham Knight bad where he where they. You know, if the ghost of Walter White was following Jesse around, I would agree with you.
In a weird alternate reality, I can see that happening.
Right. But they didn't do that because it was about Jesse. It was about Jesse getting away. I thought he got away in an entertaining way. I thought it was cool to see his buddies. Was it Skinny Pete and Badger? Like that was fun. You know, it was good. And he got away in a very... the scene where he's trying to negotiate with the vacuum cleaner guy and he has to come up with $10K while the police are actively looking for him. Right. You know what I mean? Like that was entertaining. And then he had the money and then those two, all those three weirdos mechanics stole it and then he had to get it back from them. They were drunk. He challenged them to a duel. I was on the edge of my seat for that.
Sure.
I don't think, I really don't see why you guys hate it. But I can understand that, like, yeah, it's not now. The conclusion isn't as open ended. That's fine. I can agree with that. But I thought it was entertaining. You know, honestly, I really do. I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good addition. I did think it added. It gave some finality to the Jesse character.
Well, then to continue the previous conversation of like why even bring this up at all, I was basically initially we're talking about like extent like more series essentially come out of the Breaking Bad universe.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about. Earlier, right? Yeah. And why I don't think it would really.
Sure.
I think people would eventually get tired of it. I don't think it can stay on top forever, you know?
That's fair.
I feel like it would just... I want to see Vince Gilligan do something like... Different, you know?
Start a new universe with other stuff that you can do.
Yeah,
I agree.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think, like, it's either they make a new character, which could work in, like, the Breaking Bad universe, like, loosely, or they follow someone else. I don't really know who they would follow at this point because we've already seen Mike, we've seen Saul. So
I heard some whispers that never took place, but the veterinarian that they all went to.
Oh yeah,
that would be a totally interesting show. How he got all his connections, and he's like a goofball. So seeing him trying to how he got those connections and how he you know, because you know at the end of season 6 he hands Saul his black book of like, hey, these are all the people that I have connections with.
I kind of wanted to see so. It's interesting about Breaking Bad is that there's like an overarching, and Saul actually, there's like an overarching antagonist that no one really realizes or like talks about.
Walter White.
No, it's the so the company that Gus worked with, which was like the German company that had all these different companies under them. That was what I was really interested in. And it only got expanded on like once during Better Call Saul. I was like, man, that would be kind of cool to see. Like some.
You talking about the guy that offed himself while trying out the nugget sauces?
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
It was really random in Breaking Bad, but it was really interesting because it was like, oh wow, there was like this went bigger than just New Mexico. This was worldwide.
Yeah.
It's like everyone wants to see Gus's story. They're never going to show Gus's story.
No, and
nor should they.
And I agree. I don't think that would add anything
because I only realized this after watching both shows. Like, yeah, he never really ever revealed his past, and they always hinted at it. Like, I know who you really are. You know, it's just like, why is there no record of you? Basically,
I watched that scene that you just referenced. I watched that last night when I was at work.
It's like, wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if Vince Gilligan knows who he is, but it's really cool. And some people are saying that he's the guy, he's the antagonist from Far Cry 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like his character?
Yeah, and he left
to go start a chicken factory.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I see what you mean. I understand, like, you all watched it and were like, you were disappointed. But I enjoyed it. But it's not my favorite project out of the Breaking Bad universe. Sure. Like, honestly, Breaking Bad's way better than that one movie, and so is Better Call Saul. But there's so many hours of entertainment that both shows come with where there's no way the movie would have measured up anyway. Is it as good as those shows? No. It's probably on the lowest totem pole out of all of them. But would you say Saul's better or Breaking Bad?
Good one. I definitely rewatched Saul more than Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So I guess I enjoy Saul more, but it's just because of the context around it. Yeah. Like, I like the setting more. I like the demeanor more.
Of Breaking Bad.
Of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Like, it's the fact that he's a lawyer, like, interests me a little bit more.
Yeah.
The fact that I loved Nacho's story, like, from beginning to end. I thought that was always really interesting.
Nacho was in over his head.
Oh, yeah.
Because you look at him from season 1, he thought he was this big gangster.
Yeah.
But by season 2, you realize he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I felt so bad for him because, like, yeah, he definitely messed up in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then he actively was trying to get out ever since then, up till the end.
Yeah.
And never got a satisfying conclusion for himself.
Yeah.
Which is just so sad.
Yeah. Because the way he goes out, the way he dies, like you said, like he didn't get a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
He just kind of talked trash and then shot himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's the ending he earned.
Yeah.
I think there's a theme that I guess not a lot of people are focusing on, where each character got what they deserved.
Except for Skylar. No. She was not as bad as Walt, but she definitely played into it towards the end.
She's the worst character.
She's the worst character.
She absolutely is.
Super hypocritical. And she definitely was like Kingpin-ish.
Yeah.
You know.
They fixed it though with Kim Wexler, because they could have easily made her and they skirted the line. There were a bunch of scenes where she pretended she had morals.
Sure.
You know, where she was disappointed in Saul. But as the show went on, they fixed it to where she's just as bad. Sure. And she admits to it. And she's like, you know, Skylar never did that. She acted like it was all Walter. But I think the creators knew that. They knew Skylar was the most hated character for that reason. So with Kim...
They didn't want to do another Skylar.
Yeah. So with Kim, the first couple seasons, she's better than Saul. And she's like, why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, shoot, we're doing the same thing we did with Skylar. But then later on, when you add on to she's getting off on ripping people off, she enjoys it. She's just pretending she isn't.
Sure.
And at the end, when she breaks up with Saul, she's like, I was having fun, and this is toxic. This is bad. And she's like, and it's not you. It's not you. It's us. We're bad together. That was I was crying during that scene, dude, because I hate breakups. One, because I've been invested in them. That show started when I was 20 years old, and I was invested in them until I was 27, I think. So like 7 years, I was like, oh my gosh, they're breaking up. Right. You know, and it was sad because I'd been through breakups myself that pretty recently, you know. You know, when that show was airing. So it was like, it was sad. I was seeing in my mind, such a good relationship, and it wasn't. It was bad. And it's like, I understood why they couldn't be together. Yeah. Which is sad because the season before they got married. Right. So it was such a sad thing, but she was right. And they weren't allowed to grow together. They had to grow individually. But it was interesting because they didn't grow individually. They both chose mundaneness. They both chose to be better off. They thought they were better off not together, but it turns out they didn't do better with their lives.
They went back to their lives.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So
I felt okay.
Yes. So you're right. Skylar didn't get what she deserved, but the creators, I think, were aware of that.
You know who did get something that he definitely didn't deserve? A lot of characters in Breaking Bad, but like in oh crap, what's his name? Kim's old boss. He's like one of my favorite characters.
The guy, Ted.
Ted,
right? Skylar's boss.
No. I'm talking about Kim's boss.
Oh, Howard.
Howard. Okay, he's my favorite character in Better Call Saul. I love Howard so much. He's so freaking funny. Yeah, like unintentionally. So Howard is such a sad character because he's one of the only characters in both shows who did literally nothing illegal. Yeah. Like,
well, they set him up though in season 1 to where, dude, like, you hate Howard. He's a jerk.
He's like definitely the main antagonist. He's gonna screw over Jimmy at any point. But actually, there are many points where he goes way above and beyond for both Kim and Jimmy by like offering them jobs, you know, or he offers them opportunities, pays off Kim's, you know, her debt. Like, so much he does above and beyond. And get it, there are some times when he's a little scummy, but just a little scummy. Not like I'm going to do something that causes someone's death scummy, you know, like he would never do that. Like,
but most of it was at the direction of Chuck. Which you come to find out, like, Howard never hated Jimmy. He never hated Kim. Right. He never hated them together until the end. But he was for them, you know? And when Chuck died, he was like, you know, Jimmy, let me give you a job. You know, like, hey, let's give you that chance I never afforded to you before. You know what I mean? And so anyway, continue.
And then they both just go off. There was a reason for it. Context, watch the show if you have it. But like, there's just so much they do to him towards the end. And it's like, he doesn't deserve any of this. Yeah. And then for him to be completely broken, go to their apartment, you know, and then, you know, the infamous scene where Lalo shows up.
Where's crazy cliffhanger? Were you watching that as it aired? Or did you wait till it finished?
Let's see. I finished the series probably like 2 or 3 weeks after it concluded.
Okay. So that scene where Lalo shoots Howard was the mid-season finale.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
Yes, you know, when it cuts off, okay, let's talk. And then it cuts to black. Yeah. I was with my buddy Zane. If you're listening, shout outs to you. I was flipping out because that was such a cliffhanger. And I was like punching a pillow, and I stood up. I was walking around the kitchen like, no, no. I don't do that with a lot of stuff, right?
That was insane.
And
in fact, it was such a big like mid-season finale. It almost overshadowed the actual finale.
Yeah, yeah, because the next episode resolved the whole plot, right?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
The
Doesn't
very
Lalo die in the next episode?
The very next episode.
Yeah.
Same thing. I don't like it when shows do this. So when the last season dropped the first 2 episodes the first week.
Yeah.
When shows do that, you know one of them is a throwaway episode.
Oh yeah.
And that's what episode 2 was of Better Call Saul season 6. Episode 2 was a throwaway. Mm-hmm. And then so episode 3 is when Nacho dies, right? So episode 3 is where stuff happens. Mm-hmm. You know, so
Game of Thrones did that same thing in the last season where it's like, White Walker is attacking. Let's get ready. And then the villain or the Night King gets killed like literally the next episode.
Yeah.
Of the beginning of the season, it's like, oh, wow.
Nothing
this
happened.
Big threat we've been waiting for this entire time is dead already?
Yeah.
Now, I do like the conclusion of Better Call Saul, but that was just like, you can't beat that. That's just so crazy.
It was so sad, too.
And he dies in like the most disrespectful way. Then they hide his body, convince his wife that he offed himself. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
These characters, this is all their fault.
And so that scene right before Howard gets shot, we're watching him complain to Saul, and he's like, I will, for the rest of my days, I will devote my life convincing people that you guys are the scumbags that you are. And when he said that, I was like, well, he's not in Breaking Bad, so what's about to happen? And
oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, well, you know, maybe, was he there the whole time? We just didn't know because
I think everyone expected Lalo to kill Kim. Probably everyone expected that, but yeah.
Right.
Then here comes Lalo.
I think you're right, because a lot of people are like, oh, God, Kim dies because she's not in...
That's what they were more focused on, because they were so close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a weird thing, because like Howard and Lalo are on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to the show. Like they never, ever intersect until this point. And it really is just like both Jimmy's worlds colliding at once. Kim and Jimmy's worlds just colliding at the worst time.
And those were my least favorite parts, because I was like, I like them separate. When they crossed over, bad stuff happened.
Sure.
Exactly. Whenever the cartel got involved with Jimmy's personal life, I was like, every scene where that overlapped was bad. And something bad happened every time, and I hated it because I knew it was leading to something bad, and it did. Oh, yeah. You know, something that we never recover from. And I never recovered from Howard's death.
Freaking Gus can shoot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's competent.
Well, anyway, so I know I didn't convince you El Camino was good, but you know,
it's also been so long since I've seen it.
I see your point, though. I mean. Ooh, goodness, sorry.
Got to censor that one.
I've never had that happen before in the show. I'm so sorry, audience. That's a series first. But yeah, it's such a good. I want to rewatch it. You got me. Maddie hasn't seen it yet, so maybe that'll be something we do. We're going through the Hellraiser franchise, and you brought up. I think it was last episode. You brought up. Something about subtlety, or I don't remember. But we watched this movie, Hellraiser Judgment. Are you familiar with the Hellraiser franchise at all?
I think yeah.
You know Pinhead. He's not up there with Fred Krueger or anything.
Yeah.
So there's a Hellraiser called Hellraiser Judgment. It's the 10th movie, direct to dumpster. Throwaway movie.
Sure.
But I wanted to watch it because a scene caught my attention on YouTube, and I was like, okay. And I watched the first one and the first 4, and I liked the first one. The other 3 were bad. This one is really bad because it tried to trick you into thinking it was a gory movie, and it was still, I'd consider it an off-screen gory. So there were scenes where like so if you don't know, the Hellraiser franchise kind of takes place in a weird pocket of hell where pain is pleasure, right?
Yeah.
And I know this is outside of your league. You're not a horror movie fan, right? Really. But the scenes where people are being tortured, they'd have a scene where a guy is he's like, his hands are knives, and he's slashing at the victim.
Yeah.
But you don't see his knives hit the body.
Okay.
You just see him go like this at the camera, and then somebody squirted really fake blood at him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's still like a gory scene, but it's still very implied.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And it's weird to me because I was like, this movie wants to trick you into thinking it's a bloody gore horror fest fun time, but it's really not. It's still, even though blood's squirting at a character who's swiping at nothing,
it's all about the implications rather than...
It was, yeah. And I was like, this movie wants to gaslight me into thinking it's a gore fest, but it's really not. It's it's still, in the weirdest way, it's hard to describe. It was still off screen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, but it was. It was so weird to me.
Do you think that was more effective or less effective?
Way less.
Yeah.
Because if you want a movie, it's supposed to be a sick, twisted movie in the same way the Saw movies are, where it's like, this is sick, this is twisted, And so my wife's looking away from those scenes, and I'm like, babe, like they're not really showing anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not showing it. There's a scene where a guy's using pliers to rip out a tooth, but you just see the guy's pliers go slightly off camera at the bottom, and you hear a guy stock sound effect guy screaming and you hear stock sound effects clunk, and then finally you just see you clearly see the pliers just went down like this. He shook his hand, and then he latched onto a fake tooth and went like this. And they added all the sound effects later. So I was like, babe, you're looking away, but there's really nothing to look away from. Like, they're not showing anything, but they're acting like they are. So I'd say it's less effective, honestly. Yeah, it was so weird. It was a very boring movie too. In between those gore scenes were just a lot of talking, and it wasn't anything interesting. It was a boring movie. Yeah. But it tried to gaslight you into thinking it had a deeper, not message, but that it was more gory than it was. If that makes any sense. It was weird. I've never seen that before, and it was interesting to point out as I was watching. I was like, babe, like this isn't even really gory. Like it's pretending it is, but it's really not. So
interesting, because a lot of people would say the opposite is that, like, well, if it's used correctly, implication can actually be scarier.
I agree. Yeah,
but yeah, it really depends. I mean, like, I wonder how you would fix that scene. Like, if you had like half the budget, you got a slash budget. No pun intended.
And I think that's what happened. It was like I said, direct to dumpster. Like, they probably had a budget of like $100K. You know, so like you got to do what you got to do. But they were really asking me to suspend my disbelief, like they were actually doing something to somebody.
Interesting.
The other movies did it better.
I'm actually a bigger fan if they can get that right more than just seeing gore. Like, I'm not a gore fest guy. But,
of course not. And I'm not either. Like, I don't love but I was...
But if I'm going to see something that's like advertised as such...
Yeah.
I'm much more interested. It just feels smarter when they can get away with not showing. And it's like, again, it's the implication that really...
Sometimes don't tell.
Yeah, so sometimes you see a clip online where it's like, holy crap, I can't believe they got away with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just feels so cheap sometimes. Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
It was just an interesting thing I noticed that I was watching. Okay, Borderlands, the movie.
Yeah, speaking of trying to make you think it's gory when it's not. Okay, so you ever played Borderlands?
I have not played Borderlands, but I've seen a lot of stuff online. I know the second one's very popular. Yeah. Third one, not so much.
I'm a huge Borderlands fan.
And Handsome Jack's not that... Handsome Jack's a really good villain that everyone likes. Yep. So anyway, continue.
Okay, so huge Borderlands fan. I wasn't looking forward to this, obviously. Like, I don't think anyone really was. It was like...
Jack Black wasn't hooking you? Kate Blanchett pretending to be 40 years younger.
What's his name?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, yeah. Kevin Hart. Jamie Lee Curtis is like 70-year-old. Yeah. No, I definitely, like, as soon as like I heard they were making one, I was like, whatever. I didn't think it was actually going to come out. Then they released pictures of the trailer of all of them in a car. And I'm like... This is the worst cast movie I've ever seen. Like, this is the worst. Like, I could think of better people to play some of these characters. But I was like, whatever. I'm not going to go see it. Like, what do I care? I'm not going to care. It's just going to be no more trash, Yeah. And like overnight, this film has just been deemed the worst film of the year. And I'm like, Borderlands? Yeah. Of all movies, this one is going to be the worst one of the year? Like, how many people went to go see it to say that it's the worst movie of the year? I'm just very surprised. Like, again, I've watched a couple reviews, and they didn't bother with spoiler review. I wasn't going to see it anyway, but basically it retells loosely the first game, like the first game
very
story. Very loosely, which I'm like, whatever. And they change a whole bunch of things. Of course they do, but it just turned out to be like an average like B movie. You know, like not really. I just don't understand why it's so offensive to some people. I haven't seen it. But people are legitimately like offended by this movie. Like fans, I get it, but like non-fans too. For it to get like what a 3% score, I'm like on Rotten Tomatoes. I think I'm just like
it's at 7 currently, I believe.
Okay,
but that's really low. Like,
holy crap! What did this game do? Like, what movie? What did this movie do? Like, I'm sorry.
Well, think about the it's an aggregator though. It's not a, 7% doesn't mean 7 out of 100. You know what I mean? Like, or 1 out of 10. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just means that out of the 50 people that reviewed it, this is the percentage of people that gave it a positive review.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is
you have to consider that
number. I mean, but it's still a low number.
A lot of people complain that like when Bumblebee came out, it got like a 97% Rotten Tomatoes, and it did better than I'm just gonna throw a movie out there. It's not the right movie, but it did better than Endgame, which had like an 86%. And it was like, Bumblebee is not better than Endgame. Blah blah blah. I was like, well, yeah, but you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at you think 97%. You're thinking 9.9 out of 10, and Endgame got 8.6 out of
a room full of 50 critics. Yeah, watch it, and this percentage. Yeah. So
and that, just like anything else, you get 10 people that are gonna hate the movie no matter what. You get 10 Marvel haters into a screening, they're all gonna give it a negative review. Well, that's a 0% right then and there. So it also depends on who you get. You know what I mean? So,
but yeah, I'm just very confused, honestly.
Right.
Like very confused. Like, you know how many garbage horror movies came out this year?
Yeah.
And those didn't do well at all. But like this one, I even saw the trailer. It doesn't look like, it looks generic. It doesn't look like offensive again. So I haven't seen it. But like I've read enough reviews or heard enough reviews to get a consensus of what the film may have been.
And everyone's saying it's just inoffensive.
No, everyone's saying it is offensive. Like it's so bad that it's offensive. Basically, like this made me hate the franchise. Like what? Really?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: Borderlands never had like the strongest story either. Like you don't play that for the story. You play it for the gore and the loot drop, the gameplay. Like, and they had like an interesting story, I guess. Like the characters are cool and everything, but like that's pretty much where it ends.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tales of the Borderlands though, but. Another thing is that they made a PG-13, which it's famous for its gore,
right?
For its just over the top gratuitous gore, right?
Right.
So they make a PG-13.
It's got to appeal to kids. You got Jack Black in there. Just like, he just got canceled recently. He got to appeal to their children. You need more people to go in there.
That's Jack Black is Claptrap. I'm like, you could have just gotten the regular Claptrap voice, like a vocator or something. Yeah. Like you didn't need a celebrity voice for that.
But that's a problem in Hollywood.
They spend all their money on the cast.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't need all these people.
Yeah.
Like. You have like 50-year-olds and 70-year-olds playing like 30-year-olds. It's really weird. And then Kevin Hart is a comedian, and the character he's playing is a super serious person who is funny because of how serious he is.
Yeah.
So it's like that's definitely like wrong in itself. So yeah, and also they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't put Handsome Jack in there. I don't think they put Handsome Jack in there. Like that would have been like easy money right there, I suppose. But they may have been saving for the sequel. Who knows?
Yeah.
The CEO of Take-Two came out. And
tell me about that.
He basically made a whole page about, or I don't know if he tweeted it or something, but he was basically like, "Yeah, everyone just needs to go give it a chance.
Yeah,
everyone worked really hard on this film, and just go give it a chance." I'm like. That's really weird because you never get people who do that either.
Yeah.
So I guess again, 2K is a huge company. Right. So for the CEO to kind of lay on his hands and knees and beg people to go see the movie, like, no, like this is really weird. Like, okay, a good comparison. Do you know what Monster Hunter is? The game franchise. Okay, you know they made a movie.
No, I did not.
A few years ago,
huh.
They made a movie, and they released one trailer for it.
Wait, does it have Vin Diesel?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so but the monsters, you're familiar kind of with what it is. It's like it's kind of medieval era.
It's like PvP.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. It's still PvE, but the monster.
You're hunting the monster
with your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's like this fantasy world. Well, the movie trailer popped out, and all the monsters, to its credit, actually looked really good.
Yeah.
But the story, it had a whole bunch of cast that no one knew, and it was about the U.S. Not just joking. The U.S. military finds a portal in the desert, and they go to Monster Hunter World, and they fight monsters.
Huh.
The U.S. military.
That's dumb.
That's just as about as freaking Michael Bay as you can get, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I expect that from like a really stupid like movie tie-in, to a game, right? Like, that's what I expected for Borderlands. But Borderlands, it seemed like they actually like try to put effort to it. It had quite a few trailers, like it was advertised well. Yeah. But like. A bunch of people went to see that. People don't even remember Monster Hunter being a thing.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't understand what happened.
I just don't think anybody was interested. I don't think they.
Well, people were because people want to go see it. I mean, they wouldn't. This would not be as panned if people didn't go see this film.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is I'm surprised this film just wasn't like passed up, forgotten. Mm-hmm. People are going to see this film. Not to make fun of it, obviously, but also to go see how bad it is. It's being what's that one movie? The Morbius. It's being Morbius right now.
Yeah.
Morbius. You know how many bad
Morbius was
superhero
really bad, though.
But you know how many bad superhero movies there
Yeah.
were? Why did Morbius get picked out of all of them to be like the meme one? It's all random chance, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm feeling this one, like Borderlands. Like there's so many bad game movies. So I'm
Yeah.
like, why did that get picked? You know, to be like the worst possible one? Because I think it had the celebrities. The celebrities actually did something against it. Because you had all these famous celebrities, I think people were like, oh, maybe it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good because it has these people, but they blew all their budget on them, so nothing else was good. You know,
Yeah.
so
Everything else suffered.
yeah. I'm actually excited to see the BioShock movie that's coming out on Netflix. However, it's made by 2K as well, so it's like,
Okay.
that's a little.
But it's Netflix, though.
That's a little
Netflix money.
Yeah, I'm actually a little more excited for that
Yeah.
film because I think it's way more serious and dark tone. So I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not going to have a whole bunch of like lame, stupid jokes or anything.
Right. Was BioShock Infinite good?
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's different.
Very
It's
different.
Definitely different from the first two.
Yeah.
Almost like, well, not quite the same character. I was almost going to say old God of War versus new God of War. It's just very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Okay.
good. It's good.
You know, it's too bad because I thought we were making progress with video game IP movie TV shows.
I mean, still, isn't Mario movie still like almost number one
Yeah.
like, all time? Like,
And that
it's
has the
crazy.
same problem where they instead of hiring the voice actors, they got Chris Pratt. You know, the only standout performance that maybe would influence getting Jack Black for
Jack Black was
Claptrap.
Bowser, yeah.
But Bowser, you know, he made that his own, and he made it like, you know, well, but now Bowser has personality. Before he had none.
It literally
you know?
just feels like they put like a little filter
Yeah,
over Jack Black's regular voice for Claptrap. It's just weird.
right.
It's weird.
But I thought we were making progress.
Sure.
I didn't love the Mario movie, but it was fun enough.
The Fallout show was amazing.
Fallout show was great. The
fantastic.
Last of Us was fantastic too. Oh, okay. It started off very fantastic, and then I think toward the end, it started losing some of its steam.
Yeah.
But
I even heard the Twisted Metal show was good.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I love Twisted Metal.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Have you played Black?
No, I have not played.
Okay, Black is very messed up.
People let's say that's the best one.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've only played Black, and I guess I was spoiled. So,
But yeah, maybe it's just, oh, that's weird. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm so weirded out because like in early 2000s, there were video game movies out the freaking wazoo, like every which corner. Like, I mean, the 90s, they made the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat movies, you know, and that never went anywhere. They made a Silent Hill movie. They made Resident Evil movies, you know, like, and no one ever watched them. It was never mainstream. It was always just like for a small audience. But now, I mean, like for as many people who have watched the Borderlands movie, it seems like everyone watched it. You know, that was the movie to watch this weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we got to this point, especially with Deadpool in theaters right now. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised so many people want to go see this movie.
Yeah, I don't, but I never played the Borderlands games, and the trailers it didn't look good to me.
Yeah.
And it turns out I was right, but I'm not always right. I don't always have a good hunch when it comes to what's going to be amazing predicting. So.
I want to go see it now. Honestly, just to, again, I wasn't going to go see it before, but hear what's all going on.
You know what I really want to see
What
is one, I want to see Venom 3 because it looks terrible.
Sure.
But I really want to see Kraven the Hunter because you brought up bad superhero movies. Madam Web came out, memed.
Isn't the director of Borderlands directing that movie?
Really? Wait, which one? Venom or Kraven?
Kraven.
Let's look. Borderlands.
I think that's him. Or the producer. One of the two.
Oh, that's Eli Roth. Okay, so let's look. Kraven. No, different director.
I don't know. I heard that. But interesting. Interesting. I want to go see that. Well, okay, so talk about Kraven the Hunter right now. Why are you excited to see
It
it?
looks so bad.
I haven't seen a trailer to it.
You haven't?
No, I didn't know it was out.
So dude, it's been out for months.
The trailer?
Yeah.
I just so disinterested.
Months. Oh, I'm interested because I know it's going to be bad. Like the trailer looks really, really bad.
Really?
So first red flag, it has Russell Crowe. Okay.
As Kraven?
Which no. Episode 2 of our show, we discussed if it's a bad cinematic universe.
It's got Russell Crowe.
It's got Russell Crowe in it
Oh,
because he for some reason he's the catalyst for all these universes that they're trying to get off the ground.
Yeah.
So the Dark Universe, he played Dr. Jekyll and he's the Nick Fury and he's like, I'm assembling the Avengers, right?
Right.
Failed, right? Man of Steel, he's Jor-El.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like he's in Man of Steel, he's Superman's dad, and he's in Batman v Superman. Yeah, this franchise is going places. Dead on arrival. Okay.
Oh, no.
The DC universe never recovered. So naturally, learning from their mistakes, they're gonna get Russell Crowe back. So he plays Craven's dad, and he's teaching his son from a young age. Hey, you suck. You're never gonna amount to. This is in the trailers. Like, you're terrible.
He's probably gonna die really quickly.
Yeah,
he always dies.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
So in the trailer, Craven the Hunter gets attacked by a lion.
Okay.
And he kills the lion, but he's wounded. And his dad's like, yeah, you suck. You let the lion kill you. Well, the lion's blood goes into Craven's blood. And so now he has superpowers.
How does he normally get superpowers?
I don't know. I don't know too much about Craven from the comic books.
Okay.
But
so radioactive lion.
I was going to say, dang, you stole my joke. He got bitten by a radioactive lion. Dang it, ripped out of my throat. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Whatever, everyone made the joke already.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you're right. I probably stole it from somebody else. But
okay. And now he can smell lion vision?
No. Okay, so Craven the Hunter.
Yeah.
Okay, he hunts, right? In the comics, he's a hunter. He hunts animals. He wears their skin.
Mm-hmm.
He hunts Spider-Man. He's hunting all this other stuff. Well, in this one, he's a vegetarian. He's an animal lover. He's an animal pacifist. So there's a clear understanding of the character on its own, right? So we're off to a great start.
So just cut the hunter part.
Yeah, Craven the lover. I'd watch that movie. Okay, I'd pre-buy tickets to Craven the Lover.
The Lover.
Yeah, but
okay.
There's a scene. They're already doing this.
Mm-hmm.
They're setting up Sinister Six again.
No.
Again. So.
Oh, does Vulture show up?
No. In the trailer, there's a part where this guy that cuts to black, and this guy goes, "Do you know why they call me the Rhino?"
No, and we never know when to know that.
And we cut to this guy. I don't recognize the actor, but he injects himself with the serum, and his arm turns into a rhino arm.
That's not what Rhino does.
And then it cuts to.
That's not what Craven does. Not what Rhino does.
And it cuts to Craven the Hunter. Da, 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 da. And there's a real quick half-a-second scene where Craven gets knocked down in the forest, and while he's being knocked down, all these spider webs dangle down, all these spiders dangling down like Christmas ornaments. So there's a reference to Spider-Man. Which Spider-Man? I don't know, but I hope it's the Madam Web Spider-Man.
I was about to say it's probably Madam
Yeah,
Web.
yeah.
Oh, no.
So it's crazy to me how the Venom movies accidentally made their money back. Yeah. And Sony decided they want.
Oh my gosh! We can do this again and again and again.
They want a non-Spider-Man centered Spider-Man universe. That's what they took away from this. They were like, the people want this.
Not because Venom has a pre-built fan base.
Yeah.
No, it's because
he's Spider-Man's most popular villain. Yeah. He's so popular in the comics. He got his own series and made him an anti-hero. Right. He was a villain.
Yeah.
He was a villain when he started out, and now he's an anti-hero because he's so popular.
Right.
So they took these D-listers. I don't know if you watch Cosmonaut Variety Hour, but he brought this up reviewing Madam Web. He said Madam Web is the first character in the Spider-Man universe to get her own movie, but she never got her own Madam Web comic book.
Really?
She there's no Madam Web #1 anywhere.
Was she a villain?
No, she's a good guy.
Oh, Madam Web?
Yeah.
I thought she was a villain.
She's like she's one of Spider-Man's mentors in a way, but she can peek into the multiverse type stuff.
Oh, okay. But she never got a comic book.
Never got a comic book. There's no Madam Web #1 floating around, but for some reason Sony was like, yeah, that's the one.
And Craven, he's a villain, right?
He's a villain.
Okay.
Of course, they're setting up this version of the Sinister Six is going to be like anti-hero.
So we got Rhino, we got Vulture, Morbius,
anti-hero.
Craven. And
Madam Web has nothing to do with it.
But let's just put her in there too.
So, okay, we got Madam Web, Rhino, Vulture, Craven the Hunter. That's 4.
Is a Scorpion in there? He usually is, right?
He's in the MCU. He's in that.
Is he?
He's in the end credit scene where the guy that plays Nacho walks up to Vulture, and he's like, the word on the street is, who Spider-Man really is. He's got a Scorpion tattoo.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that he's supposed to be Scorpion.
Okay,
but he's still in the MCU. He didn't carry over with Vulture.
I'm sorry, Vulture.
During that Morbius scene.
Oh, dang! You see, I wish we would have kept that Vulture for the MCU. Okay,
so 4. I don't know who the other
Shocker
two are.
hasn't been in this universe yet.
No.
So maybe Shocker and Electrocutioner, Electrode, whatever his name is.
They introduced Chameleon in Far From Home.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the long-haired, non-English speaking guys that's working for Nick Fury.
I don't remember him.
Okay, well, they clearly didn't remember him either because they didn't bring him up again. But
Great.
I'm just gonna stick to MCU films. No, that's not true. I'm gonna go see Kraven the Hunter because it looks so bad, but I love it.
Where do they keep getting this money?
Yeah, Venom 3 looks really bad too.
I mean, I don't even think the second one was that good, right?
No.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Andy Serkis, who has proven twice now he's not a good director. And it's sad because he's a very good actor.
Andy Serkis directed it?
Yeah, he directed the second one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It wasn't that good.
I love Andy Serkis.
He also directed Mowgli,
Oh.
which was also not good. So, yeah, pretty bad.
Okay. I know they're not going to do this, so we're never going to get this. You remember that old Spider-Man game, Web of Shadows or something?
Yeah.
I want that Venom story, something that's so crazy off the walls. I want to see Wolverine with Venom, I want to see something that's just like so off the walls crazy.
We don't have time, but watch the trailer for Venom 3. It is so confusing.
Yeah, I think I did.
I don't know where they're going with it because you know how at the end of, we're out of time, but you know the end of No Way Home where the Venom symbiote gets away from the bartender? Well, that the guy that plays Mobius, not Mobius, the villain from Doctor Strange, the guy that was a good guy in the first movie and then he turns bad at the end. He's like, no more wizards. Well, he shows up as a different character and he goes to that bar after Venom gets away from it and he captures the symbiote and puts it in a jar and he's like, nuh-uh, we're not letting this happen. So I don't know what he's not with the TVA, but he's like a weird multiversal jumper who is stopping stuff from happening. And I just don't.
So his job is to disappoint the audience.
Yeah, and then the guy that plays the lizard's in the movie, but he's not the lizard. He's like a weird hippie who's riding in the back of a van. And I was like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what Sony's doing.
You know what's funny?
What?
We didn't even get time to talk about Robert Downey. Oh well.
That's old news at this point.
I guess so.
All right, I think we're out of time now, though.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks for joining us this week. I hope we didn't keep y'all too out of the loop talking about Breaking Bad, but we brought it back full circle with Sony, tying it into episode 2 of the Third World Podcast. So,
shout out to Sony.
We love you guys. We'll see y'all next time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please tune in next week when I do something else equally as boring. So, see y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.